are you? I'm super excited to be here, Coach Rashanda. It's 10:05. We should have been here at 10. I was actually working with our selling coaches this morning, just really talking about the importance of making sure that people are clear about where they're going, what their intention is before people ever make an investment with us. And I bring that up and share that because so often when we're making decisions, we're making them out of a place of hope. And when we're making things out of a place of hope, first of all, I love hope. I think hope is powerful. It ignites so much faith, and there's so many good things like positive thinking, and there's just so many good things that come from hope. It's like opening up the opportunity. However, you are the leader of your business. You are the leader. You get to say, what do you want things to look like? And sometimes and I just ask you guys, even on Zoom with me right now, and also on the Facebook page, I want to say, how many of you guys feel a little confusion around where you're going? Just go in the chat and say me. Go in the chat and say me, right? So that I can see. Okay, so a great way to start overcoming this piece of confusion, because confusion, it's not new to you. If you're feeling it, it's not new to you. It's actually habitually in your processing. There's a big decision up for you. And so, if you didn't have a big decision, you'd be fine. You're probably the happiest person ever. But because you have a big decision, that element of confusion or spinning, it's really a pattern that you go into when you feel pressure. So many of you guys have probably heard me say this like for years now, if you've been following me. I always say the words, manage your mind. I always say this. And the way that I manage I literally have cups around this, like drinking cups. And they say, stay in the step you're in. And the reason why I say that is because when you spin and pressure hits you, well, if you're powerful, you're probably making everybody around you miserable. Right? If you're powerful, you're probably making people around you miserable, because what happens is some people lash out and they get aggressive. Some people get more submissive. Some people get more needy, whatever that looks like. There's a byproduct that confusion spinning starts to produce in your life. So I love hope, but I want you to ground yourself. You don't have to be certain that something's going to work, but you do need to know what you want. And so one of the ways that I start with for myself, especially if I'm finding myself starting to spin, is to just say, okay, first of all, I hate using the word selfish because I know that some of my biblical people don't like the word selfish, but it's the best way I can describe it. We're human beings, and sometimes I just think we need to, before we can help other people, is to just go self-centered for a second and just say, what do I really want? What's important to me? So if you look at the next 6 months of your life, right now, currently, when we're going live, we are moving into the second half of the year. And as we move into the second half of the year, it would be very beneficial. And I've been driving this home all month, because I know that there's people still who have not actually created their quarterly plans for next quarter. I know that, like I know the back of my hand. And I'm going to tell you, I've got the data on this. I have the research on this. This is not a Shandaism advice. The people who do not put up a quarterly plan do not create amazing results. They do not. They might push forward and get results, but they're not even clear that they can celebrate them, because there's no real plan of attack. And so I'm going to ask you to just ask yourself, first get selfish and just say, what do I want the next 6 months of my life to look like? Truly, what do I want it to look like? I just did an exercise, and I actually just did this with my sales team. And I'm going to pull this out. If you got a paper and pen, you can do this really quickly with yourself. Ask yourself, if you've got a paper and pen, just do this, or even just write it down or put it on your phone or something. Ask yourself, how many hours a week in 7 days, how many hours do you sleep? How many hours do you sleep in a week? And just, estimate. I do about 8. For me, I do really about 8 hours of sleep every night. It seems to always work out that way for me. And so put that number down. How many hours a week do you work? How many hours a week do you work? How many hours a week do you work out? That's my son. I'm hoping that somebody catches him before he runs in. How many hours a week do you spend with friends or family? How many hours a week do you spend reading or doing something personal care for you? Like something nurturing, but reading, things like that. Write that down. And then how many hours a week do you have outside commitments? Some of you guys, it might be like, I've got karate with my son, things like that. Like how many, like maybe it's volunteering, whatever it is, like how many hours a week do you spend doing some of those things? And then can you shut the door, please? I'm on live. Then add all that up. Add up that number and put it on the chat if you're in Facebook, what that number is, and put it on the Zoom if you're with me on the Zoom. Okay? Add all that up. I'll give you a second. $135. Add that up. Okay, now whatever that number comes to, what I want you to do is I want you to subtract that number from 168. So whatever number you come up with, all the hours, subtract that by 168. So if your number's like 107, you do 168 minus 107. Emin, 135, go 168 minus 135. Now post that number. Make sure you do it, you guys. Don't sit there and stare at me. Do it, okay? If you're not doing it, I'm just going to ask you, how often do you sit on the sidelines and not do the work? My face isn't going to change your life. The actions will. Okay, so the numbers I'm getting here on Zoom are 61, 60. If you're on Facebook right now, put it on Facebook. 33, 43, 65, 42, 79, 43. Keep doing that, you guys. Put them down on the chats so that we can see them. Now, what's powerful about that is those are your extra hours in a week. Those are your extra hours in a week. So it was a big aha when I did this. Notice where you're spending your time and notice what you notice. Like I actually would like to spend more time reading and I'm not doing that. And I was like, wow, I thought I spent more time reading, but I really don't spend as much time reading as I want to. And if you guys followed me last year, I read 2 books every single month. And it was just incredibly empowering for my mindset, my energy, my drive, my thoughtfulness, everything. It's just because it influences. Whatever you read influences you. And so it was like this constant influence around topics, every single month that were really powerful. I read books around parenting, read books around business, leadership, marketing, all of that type of stuff. And it was just really, really powerful. Relationships, all that type of stuff. And it just really, really enriched my life. And when I did that, I literally just did this with my husband yesterday. I was like, wow, like I just dropped my reading. However, I have 61 hours in a week. Okay, you guys, I run 2 businesses, right? I run 2 businesses and I finally just took off a marketing hat that I'm in my way out because we have a great marketing director now, a CMO. And I still have 61 hours in a week. And so, I see lots of numbers in here, 14, 17, and we're all different seasons, but it's a great way to say, one of our team members said, I'm spending 60 hours at work a week. And he said, but I'm not really spending 60 hours at work a week. You know what I mean? Like not being super productive at it when he actually analyzes it. And so I don't know what your breakthrough is around that, but what I will say is don't let that go in the garbage, put it up on the wall and just kind of look at it and go, where do I want to start structuring my calendar a little bit differently? And notice if you have a time conversation that you could find time in a day unless you had a zero there in a week, you know? And so there's a lot of power to that. Because a lot of times, a lot of times we tell ourselves a lie that there just isn't enough time. And that's just not true. I launched this company working a full-time job. And I didn't just work 40 hours a week. I worked a lot more than 40 hours a week. I was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. I was in London every single week, or not every single week, every single month for 2 weeks of the month. I'm not very good at time zone changes. So I got all the same human stuff that you have that creates limitations on my life. Not good at, time zone changes. I would get to London. I'd have massive jet lag. I loved coming back because I get up really early coming back to the West Coast. I loved that, but I hated going there. And I did that for a year of my life, to the point where I ended up having a boyfriend in London because I felt like I was more connected to London than I was to America. And while I was doing all of that is when I launched this company. And I used my business as a business loan. I used my job as a business loan to be able to launch this company. I didn't think of it like that. I actually thought of it as responsibility to set up the company I worked for me to exit. And some of that was like, do I really want to start this business? So that's why I just want to put the essence in your mind, or the idea in your mind, about there is a real big difference between being enrolled in making a change in your life and being committed to making a change in your life. And so being committed looks a lot different. When I started this company, I wasn't really committed at the beginning. I was enrolled, but I was still second guessing if I really was all in. And when I just asked my clients in Utah, we just had a mastermind in Utah, and it was incredible to hear the success stories, like really incredible to hear the success stories of our clients. However, when I asked if they were all in, there was only like 3 people in the entire mastermind that said the last quarter they went all in. And so I know that this is a challenge for us. And I'm going to really spend some time over the next few months getting us committed, right? To unleash some of these blind spots that are hanging out around our life and getting us committed. What we just did is release some of the blind spot around our time in a week right there. And it's up to you to argue it or to accept it. You just did the exercise and say, you know what? Hey, maybe I need to stop speaking that over my life. Maybe I need to stop saying that I don't have enough time. And maybe I need to stop saying that I'm so tired because I'm exhausted. Well, look at where you're spending your time. If you're not working out enough, then you're probably going to be more exhausted. What I know for sure is that the muscles are like a battery in us. It's like a rechargeable battery that you put, the rechargeable batteries that you plug in the wall. If we don't move our muscles, we will be tired eventually. So now you might be enrolled in energy, but committed to coffee, or are you enrolled in energy and you're going to change some of the hours you put into working out? It's up to you how you want to play with those extra hours in a week. Okay, so Felicia, I'm going to pop you up, girl. And we're going to go into some commitments. So first of all, do you have a blind spot that you're starting to see in your life right now?
Oh yeah, that when you brought up committed versus enrollment, oh my goodness. So my blind spot is um the confusion of my audience, because I can go a couple different ways. And I think I've been talking to you about this the last couple of months.
Okay, let's break it
Um,
now because there's a blind. So guys, so the reason why I'm talking about blind spot a lot is because next month we see we just like you're talking about Felicia, like you're getting feedback from your audience, right? That are starting to say, I need a stronger leader. I need Felicia to just take a stand here and take us, right? I don't want to do her work for her. You know what I mean? Like I need her to lead me in this area and I like her, I love her, I'm ready to go, but she needs to take a clear stand about the direction she's going. Now, when something simmers in our life, right? When something simmers in our life, there's a blind spot that is preventing us from actually eliminating the blocks to be able to move forward. People get so
Hmm.
fascinated with the blocks. There's a blind spot underneath the block that you see.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Hmm.
let's break it. So what's really happening here?
So, after talking to my wonderful coach, Stephen, he coined me the health, wealth, and wisdom coach. And so,
Yeah.
and my tagline was when I did my summit last year was talking to healthcare providers how to create a second stream of income. And of course, I
Great.
do. So my audience can be anyone, but I was focusing on healthcare providers, right?
First of all, you can do holistic doctors, you can do nutritionists, you can do all of that, right?
Hmm.
What is the product that you're wanting to introduce them to for another stream of income?
So anything regarding our license, we're just a unique bunch of people. Because as a physician assistant, I mean, we can do telemedicine. You can actually do your own, I don't know, laser. You can do aesthetics. You can do any. I mean, we come with a license to practice medicine. So as a physician assistant, I have a lot of clients, a lot of colleagues who are doctors and PAs and nurse practitioners and just the whole nine, and like nutritionists, whatever. But literally, we can
Yeah.
take a license and do a lot online now instead of being stuck in the clinic.
Well, and you know what? There's a doctor I want to work with in Los Angeles, and I love the fact, like, if people want to talk about being a servant, you know what I mean, which is power, like servants, like people are like, they like to throw this language like selling is serving. It is, but people don't believe it. So, like, I'm going to take it
Hmm.
even deeper than serving, like being a servant to your like customers or your clients. You got to understand what do they need because you can't be a good servant if you don't know what somebody needs.
Hmm.
I love that I don't have to leave my family and drive my little tushy 2.5 hours to Los Angeles and then 2.5 hours back. You know what I mean? And if there's traffic, it's going to take me like 4 hours. I love that because the level of resistance I have about getting in a car to go there. And if anybody, you guys all know I'm big on tiny habits, BJ Fogg, right? It's like if you haven't heard me say that book, everybody needs to read that book. But like he talks about that level of resistance is stopping people from working with the doctors that they want
Hmm.
because there's resistance. It doesn't matter how much they want it, their internal resistance stops them. I see it with money, right?
Yeah.
Like people are like, they can't do it. So I want to go over here to I just don't know if this is high enough. Um, I love Coach Rashanda. We could just be like real bootstrappy. Hold on. I've got this stand that like is so hard to lift up. Okay. So, so, you know what else, guys? I'm like dressed, but I got bare feet. Don't you love that with the digital world? I love it. So good.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So I'm gonna grab a marker real quick. So so I love what you're doing, and it's almost like it's actually I know this might not even resonate with you totally, but it's clear. When I started my business, I didn't want to be called a coach because I thought all coaches were slimy. Sorry, guys. I thought the coaching world and the speaking world and the author world was the slimiest industry on the planet. And it's kind of like the therapy world. People all thought like if you went to a therapist, like you're really messed up. Now you're kind of weird if you don't have one. It's like the weirdest. Like
Yes.
talk about peer pressure. I mean, it's a global thing, right? And so I tried to call myself all these different names. At the
Mm.
end of the day, I'm a business coach. I feel like Felicia, you really are a business coach for the health professionals.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because you
Yes.
can actually
I just
create.
resolved to that.
Yes, it's like I know it is, and it does feel like that, but it's like so clear for them because they're like, oh, so if you look at like at the end of the day, you're trying to help these guys create wealth or multiple streams of income. I like multiple streams of income, which is well. And then you got to ask yourself, how can you do that for them? So, what are your steps?
So
What are the
the first,
let it flow off? Everybody, you could be doing this with your own product right now. What are what are the steps? Now, the steps have to flow off the top of your tongue. So, if you were
Mhm.
if you were talking to a medical professional right now, and you were going to show them here that you need to do this, 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 and this to create multiple streams of income, what would you tell them?
Number one, get clear on what aspect of health you want to concentrate on.
Okay, so the what?
So like a discovery. The what, yes.
Okay.
And then once you figure out the what, you want to figure out the how. What makes them happy? You want to do it virtual? You want to still do it in person?
So this is the structure.
Yes.
Okay.
And then back engineer, how often they want to work.
Okay. So this is the frequency.
Yes. And of course that comes from their end goal. What do they want? Back engineer that from their end goal. Like, do I want to create $500,000 this year? Do I want to do $250,000? What do I want to do?
Okay. So now when you see this, so this is her sales process. So it's like, so literally you're like, we've got a 4-pillar process. And the 4-pillar process is, first of all, what is the focus? What is the focused transformation that you want to create for your patients, right? Because you guys say patients, I say clients. That's why I always say don't get mixed up on the lingo. Business,
right.
business is business. So it's like so our first pillar is focusing on the transformation you want to provide for your patients. Then, like, what is the structure? Are we going to go virtual? What does that look like? What is the structure? And then she's going to have like ways on the structure, like there'll be like subtitles on it. How often do you want to work? So this is the frequency, and then this is the end goal, right? The end game. So when she talks to someone, she's like, we got 4 pillars. We got focus, which is focus transformation for your patients. We got the structure. I actually would lead them. How are you going to go virtual to create multiple streams of income to give you the life that you want? Then we've got the 3rd pillar, which is frequency, which is what are the hours that you want to work? Are you wanting to work 3-day work weeks so that you've got, the rest of the week, or 4-day work weeks so you've got the rest of the week to be adventurous? A lot of doctors I know are adventurous, but so that you can be adventurous, or you spend more time with family, or whatever that looks like. And the 4th pillar is the end goal. We want to back everything into a measurable monetization goal and time goal for your life. And so we take you through these focuses, and the end result really is freedom for you. And so it's really the same methodology that I'm going through with people. Do you hear what I'm saying? It's the same methodology. So you're seeing that your doctors are not really sure how to think out this plan. And the reason why they would work with you is to think it out and then execute. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so now you have to ask yourself, how do you want to structure this? See how she does the same thing? Do you see what I'm saying? Like she's actually living and breathing what she's walking them through, which gives her the authority to sell it.
Yes.
It gives her the authority to sell it, both in the physical realm and the spiritual realm. She has the authority to sell it when she's walking it out like that. Got it? And so now when you go to sell this, so Felicia, I'm going to put you on a challenge.
Okay.
And the challenge that I'm going to put you on is I want you to cut. First of all, did you ever watch, I think it was our revenue challenge. Where Jeff Walker, Suzanne, can you go to our YouTube channel real quick? And you'll have to post this on Facebook and on the Zoom, and pull the training with Jeff Walker. I actually think I have it in my Slack. Let me see. I'm going to beat you. I never beat Suzanne at anything, so I'm going to beat her, right? Oh, shoot. She might beat me.
She's got magic fingers.
I know she does. I'm trying to beat her. I'm going to beat you, girl. I'm going to beat you. That sounds horrible. I'm not going to beat you, Suzanne. I actually told somebody today on Instagram that you are one of the biggest blessings to hard work. I found it. Did I beat her?
No, she got you.
Oh, darn it. Darn it. Okay. Can you go put that in the Facebook group as well, and on the Facebook page? Okay, so you guys, she just dropped a link in the chat, Suzanne did, and you can watch the Sideways sales letter. That was from one of our challenges. On our challenges, our boot camps, our trainings, even though we always make an offer, like we recommend every entrepreneur to do, we always train real content. Just so you know, we took that training and we have our CMO watching that training because we want to do that sideways sales letter. So none of the stuff that we ever teach for free is a bait and switch or part of the information. When I have people come and train you guys, we talk. I make sure all the information's coming on the front end. However, our leadership stops us from executing it. You know what I mean? Like that's where we get stuck. We're like, okay, I know what to do, but I don't execute. I recommend that you execute on this. I recommend, Felicia, you go and watch that and you look at these four pillars. Maybe take a picture of this real quick if you have your phone there.
Got
And
it.
and I want you to take these and put it into a sideways sales letter. Okay, so if you go, I want you to go listen to it in your car on the way home today from the hospital. You know, like listen to it and study it, and then you're only going to really learn it. This is why we did a bunch of take action challenges like
Mhm.
before. You learn it through taking action. So don't put the stress on yourself to get it perfect. That stress, that emotion, you know it's bad for you, but it actually slows down your process from actually growing and selling and actually creating more financial freedom.
Mhm.
Because when it feels awful to do, we don't want to do it. And so
Right.
I just invite you to realize that do the sideways sales letter, use these topics right here for your sideways sales letter, make an offer for people to come and have a consultation with you for, let's say, $99 as the offer of the sideways sales letter. You can ask some people in, marketing mastery, mentor be live, go ask some of our clients, some of your peers, if they wouldn't mind mailing for you. That's the power of Heartcore and being in our community. We encourage that, right? We teach you guys how to create buyers lists so that you're empowered. I can't even
Mhm.
imagine what life is like without them. And so ask people to mail. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? See if you can get 5 or 6 people to mail their lists for you and literally do the sideways sales letter, okay?
Okay.
And then
Okay.
make the offer to be because you're not paying paid traffic to Facebook, so you have no real costs on this,
Mhm.
except for maybe your virtual assistant helping you so you can get it done, right? And ask for a $99 offer. And the $99 offer can literally, the offer can be that you will 100% give them back their money if they're not a good fit, right? And the offer is let me help you think through your plan and create like an action plan or an implementation plan afterwards. And do that
I
on that
love that.
99 call. And then ask them if they would like your help on holding them accountable to that, or if they think this is great language. If you think that I would be helpful for you over the next 6 months or 10 months to talk to you twice a month and be there for you, especially since you're a doctor, you might want to create a Voxer thread, right? So that they can just SOS you and you can pick it up in between patients. And you could say you got Voxer twice a month, a 25 or a 30-minute call with you. And say, if you think it would be helpful for me to be there with you when questions come up on your implementation plan or when things aren't working or things that we just don't know that you don't know, then I'd be happy to coach you for the next 10 months.
That's awesome. I
Got it?
love that. Yes.
Yeah. So now I'm going to challenge you to go do this. So
Okay.
do Jeff Walker's video sales letter and that we taught on that revenue challenge. And
Okay.
then I'd say let's make a commitment that 7 people mail for you. Okay.
Okay.
Out of our community.
Okay.
So now you get to go put
Perfect.
that on the calendar,
I do.
lock it in, and be a great leader.
Awesome. And then what would you thank you? I love this. I'm so excited. What would that be a $10,000 10-month coaching
Yeah,
program?
$1,000 a month, I think is really a great. I mean, that's a steal for you right now. You know what I mean? $1,000 a month, and you'll raise the price. So I'd like to see you at least enroll 5 to 7 people in that.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to figure out your plan, as you know what I mean.
Okay. The challenge is on. Thank you so much. Appreciate
All
you
right.
so much.
Come back and report success to us. Thanks,
Will
Felicia.
do. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, you guys. So we're gonna wrap this Thursday, Coach with Shanda. I hope that you're enjoying these lives. I hope that they're helpful. I hope that they get you to think outside the box. And I just want you to do some of the work with me that I do with people. So every Thursday, I hot seat and coach people. And, again, I mean, there's so much wisdom in actually watching somebody get coached and then applying it in your own world. Don't get stuck on the fact that you need me to solve your problem. You really don't. I just worked off of what Felicia was already thinking. You can rewatch this live again and you can literally just go, what are the steps? What are the questions I asked her? And just do it. Just literally use that as, it's called a swipe file. Use that coaching as a swipe file if you need it in your business and you find yourself in that same spot, and execute on it. You have the link for the training on the sideways sales letter from one of our challenges. You have this recording on how I walked her through it. Money is not hard to make. Impact is incredibly rewarding. And the only thing that is challenging, honestly, is our own leadership on execution. So do it whether you believe it will work or not. Manage your mind and reduce the pressure emotionally. You're not going to get it perfect. You don't need to get it perfect. You just need to take action. You take action, you're going to have movement. You take action, you're going to have a result. The more frequently you take action, the faster the company grows. It's not a tactic. It's not a formula that makes the company grow faster. It's just not. It's actually your leadership that makes the company grow faster, which means that you have to move in more frequency. How do you do that? Don't feel so bad when it doesn't work out. None of my stuff works out. None of it works out the way I thought it was going to work out. And so now that I don't have that expectation on my relationship with my company, I don't feel the pain of when things don't work out. I just don't. I mean, I lost $70,000 last week. And, not that I want to do that, but I don't feel the pain in that. I just don't. And the reason why I don't feel the pain is because I gained a huge aha moment. And now I got to create something because I'm committed, not just enrolled. I'm committed, not just enrolled. I'm able to create a new system off the back end to fix that problem that I never would have had before I had that breakdown. So wisdom grows. If my little 6-year-old was here, I said, what happens when we fail? He'd go, wisdom grows. And so just remember that. Don't fight wisdom. It's a really good thing. It's why people hire you. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.